Afag as a group are even worried about the impressions that is being given about estate developers. Because from the experience of STS and the brouhaha that went around, the protestations that came from Greda concerning STS, and their firm belief that they were capable of delivering if they had the same opportunity, the same facilities that were being given by government to the Korean government.
First of all, Honorable, before you even get into the details, does the government of President Mills have they learned any lessons from what happened to the STX deal? Even before we get into Guma.
Clearly, it doesn't appear that they've learned any lessons from what came out of the STS fiasco.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have known that homegrown, you grow what you eat and you eat what you grow.
Exactly.
And what I mean is that our Greda members are capable of delivering if they are given the same opportunity.
And the same kinds of incentives, such as tax holidays, free, taxes on imported raw material.
Government of Ghana are destined to go and have solicit for funding from outside.
Actually, giving out land banks that are owned by government to such developers to put up houses.
Absolutely, they would definitely be in a position to deliver, because they've even gone. I mean, they've shown it clearly from what we are seeing, both in the country and even some of them are performing outside Ghana. And I do know that Regime Manuel is outside this country, delivering in countries like Gambia. So they are more than capable once they are given a need, like you asked earlier. Government of Ghana, led by President Mills, has not learned any lessons from the STS fiasco.
So why are we where we are today? Because if the issue is that there are capable construction companies here in Ghana, and if you look at the way we handle our housing industry, Ghanaians are people who like to build their own houses. Even individuals contract artisans who combine their forces, from masons to carpenters and plumbers, painters, to build up our own houses. And then the time came when private estate developers bumped into the scene, and we've seen such private developers acquire lands on their own, get credit on their own. Some are people who have sojourned around the world and have gotten their savings and come back to Ghana to set up companies to build such houses. Why do you think that there's a certain hesitation on the part of government to involve such people and backing them with the kind of credit that they need to execute such projects?
You see, my brother, first and foremost, what I would mean is that the maximum of believing in Ghana is, as far as I'm concerned, is lost on the government led by President Mills, that they do not even believe in the capabilities and the ability of the Ghanaian to deliver. And again, we talk of capital flight, the cedi falling as against the dollar rate. Once you start taking away your own people, what you can do internally, locally, then you should know that your own actions is going to affect the economy, as it were. So if the government led by President Mills does believe in the Ghanaian, his ability and the capability to deliver, we will not get to where we are. It looks to me that we more trust the foreigner than we do.
But the issue of housing, if you've traveled around the world, the issue of housing borders on a certain national policy on housing, as to the ingredients, what goes into housing, as to what kinds of structures fit your weather conditions, what kind of artisans, how they are trained, and what kind of houses they produce. Is it not conflicted, especially when you look back towards the days of Kwame Nkrumah, if buildings or edifices like the Job 600 were put up by Ghanaians? Is it not worrying that in recent years we seem to always be looking, beyond the shores of Ghana?
My brother, if we're talking about even Job 600, we'll be even over flogging the issue. Look at Techi Nungwa Estate, Dan Suman. name them. All the estates that were built by our local contractors, local artisans, local masons and steel benders. They did this work. So I am at a loss as to why at this stage, when even our, the training of our people, both engineers and, I mean, name them, in the building industry, are all over the world. They are all over the world. So I cannot see why we cannot.
So what is the motivation?
So what I can say is that, if short of saying that there is some personal interest in wanting from the government and from those who are supposed to be implementing the strategy, if the government has, those who are supposed implementers of the strategy must be as where their interest is as to going beyond the shores as against using our local people.
I've heard from certain quarters, certain government spokespersons say that grader or the local contractors do not have the capacity.
STS was giving government backing to go out with our own certificate, that is the government of Ghana, to go and solicit for funds outside. Why can't we do that for our own companies? Why? What stops us from doing it for our own people? Is it more of not wanting, your own people as against the foreigner? So I am at a loss.
We're discussing Guma and Woyome. Guma happens to be a housing company that has just been awarded a contract to build 500 housing units here in Ghana. And also joining us, Dr. Nana Ayu Efiye is the chairman of Afag. Welcome to Minority Caucus.
Thank you very much, Baba.
Yeah, we've been discussing Guma.
Yep.
The IT consultants or a South African company that has investments in mining and are specialists in IT and data processing. That's what I gather from their website. News in Ghana is that they've been awarded a contract, or they are in consultation with government to build 500 housing units. This is coming on the back of the STX deal that has dragged on in between Parliament and on platforms here in Ghana. Finally, after boardroom wranglings came to an end, it happens that STX would not come to fruition. A few months later, we seem to be getting into another, housing deal. What are your thoughts?
Basically, I've been observing these issues unfolding and basically a bit disappointed. The concept of liberalization of the housing sector started in the mid-80s, and actually it was in 1987. But 1987, if you look at the history of the housing sector and the policy changes, you realize that around 1986, 85, it was the policy of government to shift from production of housing and financing housing for the private sector to take over. And one would therefore wonder if government really understood this path it was traversing, because clearly grader was inaugurated in 1987, and that was after a clear policy was outlined for liberalization of the housing sector. And then it didn't even end there. They got their home finance company, which was established on some, if you remember, some $10 million contribution from the World Bank and $16 million from Senate. So basically, the home finance company came into being in 1991. And we are aware by studies that there's an acute housing deficit in the country. And various studies have shown, Mahama and entry in 2006 showed that there is about 1.5 million units of housing deficit in the country. And on the average, every year is 130,000. Okay? Now, grader since 1987 has built over 12,000 units of housing. in this country. And the concept was that the public sector was giving this to the private sector to execute because the government couldn't. You remember the Bank for Housing and Construction collapsed?
Yes. And State Housing.
The State Housing Corporation became company. And even now their policy, the direction is providing some housing for the middle income people. But these are few persons in the population strata. And therefore, it's not a worry that a government that has a vision is not believing in its own people, is not trying to strengthen a certain policy that is started some time ago to get the private sector to be buoyant. And for that matter, they understand the local needs of the people more and create the relevant jobs that we want. Okay? And you didn't even engage them. Then it became an issue and it became... But you look at the posture of government to these people, it's like a fight. It's like you are supposed to make sure that they leave. And they feel like, oh, you were supposed to. I don't think you had the capacity. It's like it's a blame game. You are finding all the sort of reasons that for whatever it is, you don't want to give them. And that is actually dangerous. For me, as somebody who believes in center right advocacy and whatever it is, I believe in the private sector as the engine of growth. It will be a shame to be associated with such a policy where you don't recognize the value of these people in Greater that you gave birth to. Because
have we learned any lessons from STX?
From STX? No, but you see, Perry, what is even worrying is that it's only 500 units of building. 500 units. People who have the background, the CV, or the background of raising over 12,000 units of housing. You did not look at their competence from this background. And you go and engage, like you said, an industry and a company who is into IT.
Yeah, this on the company's website, it says that Guma boasts of proactive investments in the following: information communication technology, mining resources, tourism, leisure, and hospitality. And then there's a fourth one, which is industrial.
It is a shame. It is a shame. It's like we say one thing and practice the other. Whatever it is, he is coming in as an investor from his country. This repatriation of your funds will go. And definitely, he doesn't have his ultimate interest in your country. So why would you have to marginalize these very people who have kept faith? Like you said, the history of this country, TDC, TDC had all these houses in Tema and Co.
Actually from Nkrumah, from
yes.
low-cost houses.
That's it.
In district
State Housing Corporation,
exactly,
the Viting estates in the Temale, North Suntrezo, Patazi estates in Tazi, in Kumasi and all, what have you. What Ghanaian people going their Ghanaian strength in this industry. And you are absolutely in this modern era undermining the value of what
in your view,
do.
why the obsession to go foreign?
Well, like Honorable Apeti said, if not for an interest, so then you will want to do the analysis of what policy experts say we call the public interest theory, that the politicians sometimes will take a decision based upon some interest, and therefore you have to find out what the interest is. And therefore I think, and would want to corroborate what he has said, that there is an interest, a hidden interest. It's not written, but it's strong.
Anyway, I'll go to Honorable Apeti. What are your thoughts to or wrapping up on Guma and the government of Ghana? And there seems to be a certain fixation on security services. If you take the information that's available, it says that Ghana in its entirety has a housing deficit of 1 million and then about 130,000 yearly. Why the fixation on security services?
See, the problem with the NDC government led by President Mills is that anything that they want to do, they want a spin and they want propaganda to take the lead. They start doing propaganda in the first place instead of looking at whether they have a policy and what their policy actually says in terms of this. So otherwise, if we have a housing deficit of a certain number, why do you go talk about just the security service? What is the housing out of the number? What is the deficit that the security services have, which the grader, our contractors cannot do if you give them the government guarantee? Because I have heard some of the ministers say, oh, they don't have the financial, not the capacity to build. I understand that they don't even. They were looking for a company that has the finance. So if you were able to give government guarantee to STS to go around the world to look for money, why can't you give that to Greta to also go and look for the money?
Well, and in wrapping up, is it not time for us to actually agree on a national housing policy in terms of materials to build houses, what types of houses are good for the tropics and for that matter for our country, and how to get finance and what materials we can use in building houses that will make housing cheaper and affordable to everybody? Because we've seen Habitat and other NGOs come into this country and mobilize, little resources and build homes for people.
Yeah, Perry, I'm even told that we have some clay deposits in this country that we can use.
There's pozzolana
going on. And so, I think that it's about time that we as a nation must have a policy which any government, whether you are center right or when you come, you should follow, so that we have locally, bred, as it were.
Yeah, because when you go to other countries, they build houses based on the weather. They build houses based on cost.
Use bricks to do it instead of. So they use bricks to build. Then they come and sell cement to us who are in this hot weather. Then
so we have large deposits of clay as well.
To be able to. So it's about time that the Building and Road Research Institute, we have a whole Building and Road Research Institute at Kwame Nkrumah University, who have done so many research into how we can build houses to suit our own weather and our people, which will be,
Doc, wrapping up on the housing issue.
Right, to add to it. I remember sometime within the past 3 years, I think the police were packed in Parliament to create an atmosphere as if a certain party was not sponsoring housing for police. And I'm sure if the government is doing one to appease them, or for that matter, coming on a house, how do you call it, a damage control measure, then probably that is why they're only using the police and the military as pawns. The police personnel and whoever they are should even know that you will be living in these houses not as if it is your bona fide structure.
It's a state property.
It's a state property. And trust me, after when you are 60 years or when you retire, you exit. Okay? So when they're using you as pawns, you should be asking yourself, what is the guarantee after retirement? Is that all? So like you said, it's an affordable thing. And because they can't stand the argument.
We'll take a break and go on to the next topic. Thank you very much, Dr. With us discussing the issues are Dr. Nana Ayew Efriye, Chairman of Afag, and also Honorable James Apietu Ankra, Vice Chairman Afag. Doctor, where are we on Woyome?
Yeah, basically, I don't think we are anywhere. We are in the middle of the sea. This case has been to court, and the value of being in court is probably to open the case and somebody file a defense, and then it's left with the public to follow events. As far as I remember, they've been to court once. It was another session was scheduled, and then they've been to it, and now it's been another schedule on the 4th of June for another hearing. So basically, as Afag, we are disappointed. We are disappointed in that we think Article 14, Clause 4 of the Constitution gives the powers to the court that where someone who is arrested, detained or restricted is in court and there's undue delay in providing reasonable evidence to prosecute, the court has a right, conditionally or unconditionally, to cancel the case and to throw it out of the court. And our fear is that the last time they were in court, the judge cautioned them, the prosecutors.
How long has the case been in court?
It's been in court for, I'm sure, over 2 months.
Over 2 months?
Yes.
What, in a layman's point of view, what happened in the subsequent, because if you follow this case, you will realize that there was a time when the former Attorney General went to court several years.
In August,
and then there was an amendment at a point by the resigned Attorney General.
January. Yes. So it actually has been in court since August last year. over 6 months. That was when the Batinodo and the previous Attorney General had filed for no case. And then it was amended, the writ was amended in January, on the 16th of January, that there's a case of fraud. That was what saw to the exit of the Attorney General. Now, what we are saying is that it is for the court to establish whether the gentleman is guilty or not. And then we will respect the court's position. But we front on where the issue has been to court. And you are dilly-dallying, explaining very well that the delay in executing justice is justice delayed, is justice denied.
Yeah.
And the law of this country actually frowns on delay, undue delay. And where a judge has cautioned that get serious or I throw the case out of the court, then Afag,
and this was at the last adjournment.
Yes, the last one. So studying the trend, then we foresee that is a calculated attempt by the Attorney General, and for that matter, the less commitment on the part of the President to see the case to be prosecuted to the last conclusion, an allegation in this regard. Okay? So, then we liken it to what has happened in Tanzania, where the current president, last week, he sacked 6 cabinet ministers for mere case of allegation of corruption. And you know what he said?
No.
He said, in the modern era, not only will you sack the ministers, but those who cause the mishap.
Exactly.
And the case of this is where Woyome and some in the states, it is absolutely likened to the case in Ghana. And
except
here, that
the amount of money is $62 million, and in our case it is 51 million Ghana cedis.
You get what? So basically, there is, and the posturing, the worry here is that why would the public be interested in this case? It's a posturing of government. The Attorney General who was prosecuting this issue has been sacked. Okay?
He resigned.
Well, in the beauty of the presentation, he resigned.
Yes.
But it was when pundits would analyze to the point that critically, after he filed a writ to amend and state that there was a case of fraud. Do you get the point? A Gangantuan one. And therefore he said that he will not harbor people who hide in the name of political parties to cause injury or crime against the state. You get the point? And that was a clear person, and that was actually awed by such spirited display of forthrightness. Because a person who stands and says that I am one of you, but I'm going to prosecute you. But then the president's in an investigation he was said to have cautioned that hey, don't pay. He
was said to have stopped payment, not caution.
But he stopped. Okay.
And he happens to be the chief executive officer of this country. And anytime he says stop, it means stop.
Stop. And they did not stop, clearly undermined there. So we are only analyzing. Of course, like the economists will do, based upon precedents, you then can project. Except when you don't want to go into the future, you forget of your past. So we are only analyzing from the posturing. The posturing, therefore, is a worry. It appears. And you see, Martin Amido also cautioned in his last letter to the people of Ghana. You know what he wrote there? He said, we should be, time is of essence. But however, also, the prosecution team, we have to make sure that they are overhauled. Because those who filed for no case are those who are still on the case.
Honorable, are we seeing the predictions of the #1 vigilante?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially taking the backdrop of what the promises that President Mills gave to this country before he came into office, that he would not wait for even evidence
before he prosecutes,
he takes action. Once there's any indication, somebody,
even in the
newspaper, a finger is pointed at any of his appointees, he will take action. And now we are seeing where his ministers have been mentioned as being part of the fraud that has caused this country as this gargantuan money. Aside from that, it looks like the presiding judge is even getting frustrated from what he has said. That look, get serious or get out of this.
Throw the case out.
Throw the case out. So if we, like the former Attorney General said, Martin Amido, if the citizens do not form a citizen vigilante and we just watch on. Before we realize the case would have been thrown out.
So why Afag and why the interest?
Afag is a civil society organization that intercedes on behalf of the general public. So once there's an indication that, look, the way this is going in the normal way of our president doing it, things, you know, she says he's slow, but then in this situation, the slowness can cause this country a huge way. So we will not wait until the case is thrown out, watch on until the case is thrown out.
Hasn't the mere payment of such gargantuan sums of money cost the nation already?
Well, it's well, better late than never. Once we've come to the conclusion that, look, our own state attorney, the former state attorney, say, look, I've gone back to court to amend the thing, to say that this one is criminal and that the man did not have a contract. Like we have said, we are not interested in the merits and demerits of the case. What our worry is the slowness, the way the thing is going slowly, and from the caution that the presiding judge has given us, if we don't do something about it now, it might be too late.
Well, that's interesting. What's the way forward, and what do you think that government is not concerned about its own posturing in handling this matter, especially when it involves corruption of public officials?
Absolutely. What we are saying is that tackling corruption is not just by mere
word of mouth
or rhetoric. You have to take action, like we have seen in Tanzania and Uganda, where definite decisions have been taken, actions have been taken. So we expect that our government will take action, and action taken now, to make sure that this case does not go adjourned, being adjourned again. Over and over to a where the presiding judge will just throw the case out of frustration.
Doc, so is it the case that government does not have the political will to prosecute the matter?
Yes, but if indeed government has a political will, why would you keep Batin Ojo in office? Why would you keep Kwabena Dufo in office?
Why Batin Ojo?
Yeah, definitely. Very well. The orchestration. You can just endorse such payment without the chief of staff approving of it. In any case, such instructions will come from his outfit to the Ministry of Finance, and then somebody might advise. So you see, some time ago, Afag would have to call for the resignation of these persons: Henry Martin Newman, Batin Ojo, Betty Motes, Idrisu, on principle. It's not because it's hate of personality. It's absolutely on the principle that they should have been much sensible enough to have stepped aside. Okay.
Well, Honorable Afag, Woyome, way forward.
The way forward is that we expect that on the 4th of June, when we go back to the court, we'll see some justice being done. If it does not happen, then we as a group, civil society, advocating for the people of this country, would need a mass action to put pressure on those who are supposed to act. This money is the money for the good people of this country. It's good money that could be used for a whole lot of things for this country. And we want to make sure that this money comes back to the kitty. So we'll use some of a mass action legally to drum home.
So you're talking about hitting the streets?
Absolutely, and just not hitting the streets in Accra, but
hitting the streets around the country.
Doc. Yeah, anyway, that's good. That's a brilliant one from Honorable. Yeah, but like you said, for now, Afag hasn't taken any constructive position. But the point is that we will not rule out mass action. And Afag, in principle, had always stated that around October to December, we were actually leaving the political space for the political parties to do their own thing. And what we have said is that though in principle we have stated that we were going to leave the political space for the political parties to do their own thing, one of the cardinal issues which would change Afag's position is this test on Woyome. When we see the president's commitment is absolutely alloyed, and when we see it is really orchestrated, a clear orchestration to deprive justice on behalf of the good people of Ghana, Afag will not have any option than, in addition to the series of actions that will press home for the demonstration and all the other opportunities that will avail itself, Afag would actively be involved in what it takes for the Ghanaian to decide for the election.
On that note, we'll take our first call. Aziz.
Yes.
Aziz, good evening and welcome to Minority Caucus.
Thank you very much. This is Aziz Donla, written in Yeah, thanks very much. I want to comment on the Afag issue. You see, it's very obvious that President Mills is doing well to tackle the Woyome case. Currently, as we are speaking, the case is in court. And we are hoping and wishing that the good people of this nation will give hearing to the court. We are to thank President Mills for him not mismanaging this economy. As you can see, President Mills is someone that Ghanaians are going to retain come December 7th again, because he has demonstrated all reasonable doubt that this is the man for Ghana. He is a man who is peaceful, and he's the one leading us into victory. So we don't want people to come and be singing war drums for us. I don't think it will help us. So President Mills should continue with his good work that he's doing for us, the unprecedented infrastructure all over the country, the rural education which is going on, and then the good network, good road network which is going on. We are praising him for that. He should continue, and you people will continue to be in opposition.
Aziz. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening and welcome to Minority Caucus.
Thank you very much. My name is Ikolada, speaking from Abuafa Kumasi.
Can you lower the volume on either a radio or TV near you?
I'm sorry. It's just from afar, so I cannot do anything about it. So
okay, go ahead and please be snappy about it.
Thank you very much. What I want to say is that the government is not willing to take our money back just because there are so many hands in that Woyome money. Because I heard some spokespersons from Woyome side saying if some people make any mistake, they will mention so many names. So that's the problem why we cannot be serious about the money. But as a country, we need our money. Because the money himself says that he has no contact with the government. So in this case, why? I want to know why is the government not willing to take our money back? And for that matter, when he finds some place to explain himself that maybe in some way he has a contract or so, then the money will be given back to him also.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Your point is well made. Thank you very much. We'll take our next caller. Hello. Hello. Good evening and welcome to Minority Caucus.
Hello. Good evening. This is Bejako from Bolga, Atlantic. My contribution is that I just want to say that you guys, you are doing a very, very wonderful job, and everybody in Ghana here, not just MPP supporters, will support you to continue the good work that you are doing for Mother Ghana and then MPP at large. Look, we in the Upper East region here, especially the three northern regions, not just Upper East region alone, our brothers and sisters, since last week, especially those going to senior high schools. Senior high schools will open last week Friday, but unfortunately, the 3 northern regions, we are not in school because the government have refused to give money to the senior high schools, head teachers, to run the schools. And our brothers and sisters are at home doing nothing. Whereas our brothers down south there are in school learning, and our brothers here are sitting down in their homes because of President Mills' refusal to release money to these schools to run the schools. 2, President Mills himself came to Upper East region here and cut a sword for the construction of sports complex for the people of Upper East region. For about a year now, nothing, absolutely nothing is going on as far as that sports complex and the cutting of that sword is concerned. What is the excuse? The government excuse is that they do not have money to do that. NDC government promised the good people of Upper East region that if they get the North to rule this nation, they will build an entirely new regional hospital for the people of Upper East region. We voted for them because of that. 4 years in government, nothing is happening. Not even a block that they've added to the wonderful work that President Kufuor did as far as the regional hospital is concerned. And the excuse that they give to us right now is that they do not have money to continue this project. But the unfortunate thing is that even when they do not have money to execute this wonderful project, Mills and his government have managed to don 51 million Ghana cedis to one person for no work done. That is Afag Woyome. And when people like you decide to talk about this and call on the government to retrieve the money from Afag Woyome to execute important projects like this, NDC people are complaining.
Thank you. Thank you. Your point is well made. Thank you very much for calling. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to Minority Caucus.
Yeah, Perry, how are you?
I'm good.
We thank God. This is Big Dreamer calling from Aroa in Tichmai. Greetings to Honorable Professor Miokunfi, our darling MP, whom we are taking to Parliament 7th December 2012. Perry, one thing that Professor North said was that Ghanaians are capable in managing their own resources. When he was a member of CJA, that President Kufuor is not, he doesn't think of Ghanaians, and for that matter, bringing in a lot of people to come in to invest in the country. And for that matter, Ghanaians can manage their own affairs. What is happening? STS deal, as at now, we don't know what is happening. Then one thing that I've been asking myself is this vice president a businessman or he came in to serve Ghanaians? Everything that this vice president will touch, it goes just like that. This same man went to South Africa and bringing in Guma to come and build houses for us. While we have capable people in Ghana here who can do it. So we are asking Mills, why is he doing this? And what, with this poor and abysmal performance, you are asking Ghanaians to give you another term. And who is going to do that? Ghanaians will show you the red card come 7th December. Thank you very much.
Thank you too for calling. Well, back into the studios to wrap up on the issues. Doc, you were making a point.
Yes. Basically, like we've said, the series of actions that were pressed forward. One of those cardinal ones that we would want the public to keep in good faith for Afag is that Afag had thought that we'll do our advocacy and leave October to December for political parties to run their show. But if they see Afag actively involved in influencing the minds of Ghanaians, it's only when we have seen that the president is not committed in ensuring that the good people of this country meet justice on this very issue on Woyome.
Do you smell a rat? Do you think that, because in certain circles, we've heard that lawyers of Mr. Afag Woyome have issued a threat that they will spill the beans?
Yes, they have. You see, so if you add all this, to the analysis, then you get worried that it is a deliberate attempt to bring a stalemate. Because if you spill the bean, who is coming out?
So it's an issue of blackmail.
That's the point. So he has threatened, and somebody is afraid. So my brother, you know what? Just take the issue to court. Don't get the case head. Just drag your feet. We expect the court to be angry and throw the issue out. As if Ghanaians are deaf and dumb. They can't reason. In this modern era in Ghana, where everybody is vigilant enough to read whatever you could do, even before you say, we have what potentially you could do.
So Afag suspects that there's some level of complexity regarding ministers of state, the entire government machinery, and even the presidency?
Absolutely so. If Martin Odro was asked to resign, and he is not resigning, and he is still the deputy attorney general, you have asked him to resign. He has not resigned. Do you think that he's going to allow the case to proceed? Naturally.
And then the citizen vigilante has pointed out people who should be watched.
That's the
point. Those people are still the ones prosecuting the case.
They must resign or be fired. As soon as they are fired, is a level of confidence being assured that, hey, I am committed. So long as they are harbored, then we cannot make a distinction between those who cause a crime and those who are harboring the issue.
Well, Honorable Pietu.
Perry, it is interesting for people who have gone to file a no case in court to be asked to go back now and say now there is a case. I mean, morally, these people will not do, otherwise, why would they even keep their credibility? So what they will be doing is to keep the status quo where they have said that there was no case. So like the citizen vigilante, these people must be changed so that we will have a new set of people going to do what is needed to be done. Once they are there, naturally, we cannot see this case going beyond, you know, where.
And then finally, I'd like to pick your thoughts on this. One of the callers made the point that everything that has to do with housing and business and being a businessman has got something to do with His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana.
It appears so. It appears, I have heard these comments a lot, and people are worried about the Vice President's interest. What looks like rumors around him is very terrible. It's bad. If I were him, I would start reorganizing myself very well and listening. It looks potentially, like he said, he's a businessman, because there is a whole lot of allegations and rumors that when you go through all of them, it's more of the gentleman is there. He's not seeking the good of the country, but in every little business interest, he's the one who prosecutes the agenda. Unfortunately, it does not yield anything.
Honorable, you know, a few days ago, I was watching a particular TV program, and the spokesperson of the Vice President was on that TV program. And he stated categorically that the Vice President had been in consultation with the Guma Group of South Africa. They were an IT specialist company, and they were bringing them into Ghana to help us synchronize our database regarding NHIS, a National Identification Authority,
so
and the rest of it. So, isn't it mind-boggling that a few days later on, the same company is into housing?
Before I come on to the, I want to you remember this very Vice President was involved in some cocoa,
the
Amajaro thing. So you can see that anywhere his hand is, there is a question mark.
It doesn't work. So let's catalog them. All the allegations. The Amajaro,
yes,
the STS. Apart from that, have you heard this rumor in town? No. That somebody's brother owns a private jet in this country? I'm not saying it's him, but rumor. There's no smoke.
So it is an allegation.
Yes, there's no smoke without fire. In this country, anything you do under the cover of darkness, it comes out. So that gentleman, he must be very careful.
So coming back to
your final
my point is that how can Guma, who is IT specialist, that is coming to synchronize what do you call it, the identification cards that with so many that we are all complaining that we keep at the same time, bringing us, suddenly becomes housing expert.
Anyway.